LSU Odyssey live. Everybody, how you doing? How you doing? It has been an incredible start. A complete ignition, launch pad into the juggernaut stratosphere for Lane Kiffin's transfer portal entry as the portal king at LSU. You expected fireworks, but instead of the 4th of July, you basically were put underneath the jets at the launch pad in NASA with a rocket launcher a rocket launcher with a rocket just right in your freaking face. I mean, this was turbulent velocity from Lane Kiffin and his really strong staff here. Some guys he retained from the Kelly era, as we know, with Blake Baker, Corey Raymond, Jake Olson, Kevin Peoples. But the offensive staff, all his guys, and you're seeing the fruits of their hard work paying off massively. Their hard work and a lot of crazy private jet flights all over the country, and from guys who are on the Ole Miss staff, from preparing for playoff games to going and recruiting a player for LSU in the portal. And you didn't see those guys slack. You didn't see their performance in playoff games marred by their traveling to Baton Rouge and then back to Oxford and then to, wherever the hell they're playing the playoff game. And you saw Ole Miss get all the way to the semifinals and almost get into the title game. And the more Ole Miss succeeded in a weird twist of fate, the more LSU fans were like excited, because it was like, those are going to be the guys we got. We're going to have, obviously, Kiffin's going to be here. He's already here, but now we're going to have Kevin Smith, Charlie Weiss Jr. calling the plays. And then there are a few kind of question marks after that on the coaching staff of how well will these hires do? Will George McDonald be able to top what Cortez Hankton did? And I think so. I think Cortez Hankton was greatly propped up by the work of Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas Jr., guys who Mickey Joseph recruited, guys who Mickey Joseph developed at least for their freshman season. And then Cortez Hankton came in, kind of rode the coattails for a bit there, to get where he became kind of thought of as this wide receiver guru. And then he was ruthlessly exposed these last 2 seasons, Cortez Hankton. And so George McDonald, wide receivers coach, coming in, interesting hire there. How well will he upgrade at the wide receiver position? And then you saw, of course, what LSU did in the transfer portal as far as wide receiver, just littered with varying different profiles of different skill sets in that receiving core. And not saying every guy is going to hit, not saying this will even be a successful receiving core. We don't know that yet. But I like the modus operandi, where you're going for lower dollar, higher value guys at receiver, which is usually where you can find some of these gems. And sometimes I think the evaluations will pay off, I think most of the time. And then I think there is going to be sometimes they're going to miss, because that's just how it is nowadays, how fickle and how crazy the transfer portal and college football world is now. It is so fickle. And so you've seen them ride these waves of change, ride these waves of, staff upheaval, complete roster upheaval. Almost 40 players have left LSU's program, maybe 35, something like that was the last number. And now LSU's brought in over 40 players, I think it is now. It's if I'm off by a number, it's any of those numbers, it's by one or two, and it's just because of how fast these things have been moving that it's like, oh yeah, we got this guy and this guy just barely. You forgot to add that. You forgot to add Princewell, Uman Malin from Ole Miss, who LSU just brought in, and we wrote the article about that on LSUODYSSEY.com just the other day. This was big news, bringing in this dude, just like TJ Daugherty, another Ole Miss defender. Definitely among their best players. 9 sacks, 13 TFLs, and a sick interception where the ball's batted up in the air. He is, I wouldn't say a tweener, but he's on the the more finesse side of an edge rusher. Almost that outside linebacker, kind of jack linebacker profile, perhaps. But I think he can be developed into whatever this final season for his, these last 2 seasons for his eligibility. Wait a minute. Did he have a, I'm trying to think, am I mistaking him? Did he have a red shirt season? I know Daugherty, TJ Daugherty / TJ Dudley, he changed his name. I know he has just one year remaining of eligibility, a 5th-year senior. But I believe Princewell has, he's at least got 1 or 2. I'll have to look at my article. Sorry about that. You love the upgrades there. We've talked about that. We've written about that. What that's going to do with your defense, how that's going to set, animalistic players like Whit Weeks, Tamarcus Cooley, and it's going to kind of set those guys alive. Deshaun Spears at star. Maybe you can send him on a few more blitzes. Whit Weeks, in my opinion, you can really wreak havoc in the backfield with him in a lot of these pressure packages, like you saw against Clemson, against South Carolina this last season. Those 2 games really stuck out to me before his injury, as games where you saw him really just dominate the line of scrimmage and take over the game from the line of scrimmage perspective. And I really think having a tackling, reliable, sure-handed machine like TJ Daugherty behind him is such a smart move. I mean, it's a no-brainer. He's the leading tackler actively in the SEC. He's just racked up the tackles, 98 tackles this last season. And so you get this guy who's just a veteran leader presence that you absolutely needed in a room that's trending younger. In that linebacker room, you absolutely needed someone like this guy. You bring him in, just perfect, smart move here. And you felt like it was going to happen. But then Princewell, that's a big move. That just adds the cherry on top to this defensive line and defensive front that really, combined with that secondary and that linebacker room that now looks complete. You've got 3 of the top 5 active leading tacklers in the SEC in Weeks, Keys, and now TJ Daugherty. You got freaking PJ Woodland on one side, or maybe Fahim Delane, and then you got DJ Pickett on another. Jamarcus Cooley, Ty Benefield at the back. That sounds sexy to me. I don't know about you, but that sounds beautiful. That sounds like the lineup of that is a sexy defensive lineup. And then you have so much depth up front. They've done such a good job of this. But here's the thing that LSU are missing: offensive line. You want to get maybe one or two more defensive tackles. Maybe. Okay. I just feel like you can never have enough of those guys. Same thing with offensive line. And I feel like LSU has nowhere near the amount of offensive linemen that they need. And Jordan Seaton, someone you must get. The number one offensive lineman in the country. And Oregon, since we last wrote or spoke about this, Oregon going hard at the mat on, taking LSU to the mat. We'll just say that. Dan Lanning is like, hey, his crazy intense face. He's like, looking all nuts. His jugular veins are bulging. He's got this drip of sweat going down his forehead. He's, I'll take you on. I'll kick your ass. He wants to arm wrestle you in the bar in front of everyone. Come on, let's arm wrestle. Come on, I'm Dan Lanning. Let's do it. Come on, baby. Come on, I'm Dan Lanning. Yeah, baby. Oh. Like, you can just see Dan Lanning like having a coke binge that just goes wrong on a weekend or something, in Ybor City. But I have to say, this has been an exquisite transfer portal class, but you have to finish this right. And, number one portal class, probably, I wonder about the rankings. Is it going to be the number one ranked portal class of all time? But I think it will definitely be if you get Jordan Seaton, number one offensive lineman in the country. At a position you need big time at that offensive tackle, blindside left tackle position. And Sam Levitt, we've talked about this in the shows before. Coming off that list, Frank, Jordan Seaton, you gotta get him. You gotta get him to really feel good about, give your quarterback a lot of motivation and confidence coming back. Like, hey, I'm gonna have someone who's really working their ass off to protect me. I'm going to have a really good shot at this, of getting through the first few games without another new injury. And then you kind of settle into things. Maybe the nerves, go down a bit from there, and the body continues to heal. And he doesn't really have that kind of mental barrier on the football field anymore because of a guy like that just keeps you at ease. Even if you get hit once or twice again, it's coming because of the way that guy's going to be able to block. He's going to be able to buy you just that extra half second of, oh shit, brace for it. Whereas if you can't brace for it in any situation, you're going to get leveled, and it might hurt you. Jordan Seaton is someone you have to get, and Oregon are doing everything they can to make this happen, to make him turn from LSU, and the way they're doing it. And I think it's been interesting how this has been reported. Matt Moscona reported that the uncle of Jordan Seaton is basically the guy in charge of the show here. And there was an agreement with LSU. This is according to Matt Moscona. I'm just gonna lay it out first, and then I'm gonna tell you what we know. Matt Moscona reported this, that the uncle of Jordan Seaton is, hey, now our heads are kind of being turned by Oregon. They're offering a lot more. This is exactly what I said was going to happen. I didn't know about this uncle situation, but what did we say in our show just a few days ago? We said that, it's going to come down to how much money are LSU willing to spend on this guy. Are LSU going to spend $5 or $6 million on Jordan Seaton? I just couldn't really see that happening, even as much money as we're throwing around. Couldn't see that happening. But Oregon, Phil Knight, absolutely. And I think it just depends right here and now. If LSU are able to pull off Jordan Seaton, it is because LSU are willing to spend a lot of money here to get him. From what I've been told, the uncle thing has been a little exaggerated, a little blown out of proportion. I'm not trying to say Matt is wrong in his reporting or anything like that. In fact, he's probably got a better source than we do. You know, I mean, he should. He's there in Baton Rouge, right? But I've heard it's not as much of a barrier, and the guy might not be as in charge as he thinks. So, you're going to hear these narratives from one side where, oh my God, I just spoke to the uncle. He's my source. And, he's saying, hey, we're going to Oregon now. This is what's going on. And they're the better school, man. And LSU, man, they don't know what they're doing. They're being cheap. They're going crazy. He can sell that narrative. And then you go online and you sell a story of LSU are being cheap. And so he's going to go to Oregon. Meanwhile, LSU are prepared to probably throw down. Oh, what it was. Let me look at the text. It was. Let me see here. LSU's offer was just shy of $2 million, and then they upped that to over $2 million, to around 2.1, 2.2 million. And those numbers are before significant, benchmarks. You hit certain benchmarks, All-American, you hit certain benchmarks, certain amount of snaps played, I'm sure, appearances made, starts made, all sorts of stuff can be put into those contracts as incentives, and they can be as customizable as possible. We all know this, and this will be interesting to see. LSU have shown a culture shift that we're spending this much money in the portal. And we've been growing in this direction. We even did this under Kelly, but just half as much as Kiffin has done this year. And half as, getting the fan base involved, half as much as activating the donors around LSU, half as much as getting that money and then actually putting it to good use. And LSU did a great job in the portal under Kelly in his last season. They did a great job. They not everybody hit, but AJ Halsey, Mansour Delane, I mean, come on here. But this is on another planet. This is on another planet what Kiffin and company have accomplished here, where it's you have made every dollar count. And I don't think every guy is going to hit. But if even just 65% of these guys hit, LSU have a good chance of winning the SEC. The SEC hasn't been in a championship game or even won it for 3 years. For 3 seasons. I mean, when's the last time that's even happened? I maybe like the early 90s or something like that. This is crazy. This is extremely rarefied territory for the SEC, and it feels like it is wide open right now. There's no Saban anymore. There's no Alabama mystique anymore. Kalen DeBoer is there for the taking. Alabama is there for the taking. And Lane Kiffin knows exactly where to hurt these schools at their most. Ole Miss as well, thinking they're a rising giant under Pete Golding, while LSU are taking all of the pieces of what made them a great team except for Kawan Lacey. And we'll see if Trinidad Chambliss is able to legally get his 6th season, which he should get. Just give it to the kid. If he really wants it that bad, give him the 6th season. I think it would be better for him to just go to the NFL, but that's the decision he wants to make. LSU have a clear path to being a sleeping giant that can dominate the SEC for the next few years here under Lane Kiffin with this type of money going around and this type of scheme on offense, this type of defensive stability and just growth and progress every season under Blake Baker, where he always improves the defense year to year to year. Well, he's done it at LSU now, even in 2 seasons where you can question some things, but you can't question holding teams to like 19.8 points per game this season. I mean, that's ridiculous. Usually if you held every team you played to 20 points or less, you're going to beat all of those teams, right? Well, I guess not with the offense that we had last season, because that was complete freaking garbage. And so, of course, you were going to lose big with an offense that shitty and that terrible. It didn't matter how good that defense was last year. And so, I mean, the offense was so bad it even ruined the defense's stats. I mean, the defense should have had like perfect stats, but the offense even ruined that. Part of the defensive masterclass from this last season. So you lose a few guys, some key guys, Mansour Lane, AJ Halsey, West Weeks was one of your leading tacklers, stepped up big time. I was second or was tied in TFLs with Harold Perkins, had a ton of TFLs this season. West Weeks had a really good season. I don't think people were really expecting him to do that, and he really showed out. You lose him as well, so you're losing all this depth, but you've brought in a lot of guys where outside of Delane and maybe Halsey, everything else is like upgrade. But like, even if Benefield isn't an upgrade over AJ Halsey, if he's even just like sort of dominant, sort of okay, like even if he's just above average, with the type of offense that we are running, we'll be able to run with Lane Kiffin as the head coach. I'm excited. I think that this could be a defense where you're looking at a top 20 ranking, top 25 ranking again under Blake Baker. And then what you've done on offense under Kiffin for years, if you just suddenly can't do that at LSU, suddenly it just stalls, and it's like a broken record that we've seen for years at LSU, where the offensive line is awful. You can't run the football. It's way too pass heavy. Just you cannot score in the red zone. You're disastrous on all these key situations, short down, third and 1, third and goal, 4th and 1, 4th and goal. You're hopeless when you need to just get a foot. It was startling. It was startling to see. So I'm saying that I think when you have a guy coming in who's never had a rushing offense lower than, in the top 40 of rushing attacks in his career. And that's exactly what LSU needed. And you've retained certain weapons, Caden Durham, Harlem Berry, who when activated at their utmost could be phenomenal. I mean, Caden Durham, yes, he couldn't read a hole, blah, blah. I think it would look as, confusing as the first few minutes of Saving Private Ryan, and you're flying around, everything's all, misty, and your ears are all shot. You remember the beach scene from that movie. You're as dazed and confused at the opening of that movie, trying to read the blocking and from that offensive line in this last season. I mean, that was one of the worst offensive lines we've ever seen. Tripping over themselves. I mean, some of the film, I remember Caden Durham chose a hole and he's cutting it back and he goes, okay, I'm going to cut it back, and this kind of C gap is where I'm going to go. I'm not going to cut it as outside, off tackle as maybe the play is drawn up for. I'm going to cut this back, and I'm going to kind of cut through the seam here. And the hole is there. And then immediately these couple guys trip over each other. And Kane Durham runs right into their legs and falls right on his face while getting smashed and getting hurt on the play as well, too. I don't think it's a play where he got knocked out for the season, but it was a play that roughed him up. So, point is, you actually have a running game under Lane Kiffin. You have a quarterback, Sam Levitt, who, God willing, he can recover from this Liz Frank injury, is a dual threat at quarterback. You were talking about maybe, perhaps, and I don't want to use hyperbole or be weird about this, because Jaden Daniels is a 1 in a million type of player, but it's almost like you have a second chance at 2023 here. Hey, remember what Brian Kelly didn't understand about the 2023 season. If he had ridden that wave of Whit Weeks as a starting freshman at linebacker, a move that was starting to really get the defense to fire on all cylinders early on in that season, and LSU were really starting to get going after that Florida State debacle. And Whit Weeks then is benched once Omar Speights comes back healthy, and the same problems happen, and everything blows up again. LSU were undefeated, winning some really tough games at home or on the road against some really tough, great opponents, not some cupcakes. With Whit Weeks starting, Jaden Daniels probably wins a national championship that season when you're looking at who was in our way. And, Whit Weeks didn't take the field once against Alabama in that game. Once against, A&M in some of these really key games. Not even once against Florida State, of course. And he was a freshman, I get it. But once he's shown you how good he is, you got to stick with him. So my point is, Kiffin will make those type of calls, I think. And I think you've got another dual threat quarterback at LSU. And you have a strong defense at LSU with a great coordinator. Blake Baker can take this defense to the ultimate max here. And with Sam Levitt at quarterback, you've got that dual threat leader, that dual threat veteran quarterback who's kind of, following the same script of Jaden Daniels and Joe Burrow. And those two did that under multiple coaches. It wasn't the same coach. It wasn't the same setup. Two very different coaches, Brian Kelly and Coach O. So, and both won the Heisman. Both were number 1, number 2 overall picks, and both have been successes in the NFL. I mean, not just successes, they've been incredible on their way to a Hall of Fame career type of performances from those two. So it is no fluke, and Sam Levitt could fulfill that. He could fulfill that, and it really, he doesn't have to be Michael Vick. He doesn't have to make all these moves and make people miss to really keep the chains moving, make a few guys miss, get out of bounds. That is what LSU needed the last few seasons and did not have. Just simple. You didn't even really need a dual threat quarterback. Just a quarterback who could use his legs like Joe Burrow, And now you have a guy who can do that, but then he can also just run it 20, 30 times on you if that's the game plan and demoralize your complete defensive front, your whole defensive setup, because you can't stop him. I mean, he can the way he sees the field is incredible, Sam Levitt. And if you think Lane Kiffin, the master of misdirection rushing plays, specifically for dual threat quarterbacks when he's been coaching them, you really are in for a treat if Sam Levitt, God willing, can fully recover from his injury and we can see him to the fullest of his potential. This offense could be special. And so I'm just saying, you marry these elements together. You look at what we're doing in the portal. You gotta get Jordan Seaton to kind of tie it all up. To kind of tie it all up in a nice, a nice red bow, and just be like, look, we needed our offensive tackle. We needed our keystone offensive lineman. We've got Braylon Moore. We've got a few of these guys, but we really needed some type of veteran, kind of really dependable leadership on the outside. We've got a bunch of guys from the inside, and that's where we needed them, But then we also lost Tyree Adams. We lost a few more guys on the ends, on the tackles, than we were expecting. And so you needed to go and make this happen. You really got to go make this happen with Jordan Seaton. Would you pay $5-6 million for Jordan Seaton? Answer that question in the comments. How much would you pay for Jordan Seaton? Okay, our last final part of the show. Just 1 second. So I'm not sure where the blame is to be cast. And I'm not going to really even get into any of that type of suspicion or any of that type of BS. Because at the end of the day, we don't completely know. This is just a funny photo of someone posted of me and On Three. I don't know what that is. Is that me hijacking On Three? I'm not sure what that is, but I found it funny. I didn't really think it was some big deal. I'm sure someone will take some offense to it, but I am pouring my son some apple juice. 1 second. Here you go, Bubba.
Thanks.
Of course, Bubba. You're welcome.
You're welcome.
Sadie, I love you. I don't know what planet we're living on where it is okay or cool or like celebrated to silence or cancel or destroy someone who is either a competitor of yours or maybe they're, worse than you. Maybe they're a joke compared to what you produce. Or maybe they can beat you some of the time and it kind of shocks you, stuns you, and kind of makes you wonder, what the hell? Did I underestimate this person? Did I completely think that I had this person figured it out and was completely wrong on that? Maybe so. And you've had a lot of weird behavior when it comes to reporting people's accounts online, and a lot of bullshit involving fakery and burner accounts, and people with the most burner accounts saying everyone else is a burner account. And then there's people who literally will spend their time and their days cooking up ways to make you look bad, ways to get your channel taken away from you, ways to get you deplatformed, deactivated, canceled, silenced, shut down. And they think that's cool. They think that there's something to be celebrated in doing that. Like that is what is noble nowadays. That is what is the cool kids are doing, right? Censorship is cool now, huh? Being a little bitch who can't take, a security guard from a country, half the country away, beating you to, 20 something stories a year. And some of them are big stories. And so it makes you go, oh, wait a minute. Oh my God. We did not expect that. Shut that shit down. Don't give that dude credit anymore. Don't legitimize him. And when he says something like this, he breaks the news way ahead. What we'll do is we'll post it on our forum and say, this dude is an idiot and a liar. And we'll say that for weeks in a chorus of voices that all repeat themselves and all agree somehow. All except for maybe a couple on the fringes. And once they say something, the mob goes, get him. It's very interesting now that I've kind of been shown enough of that. I've been like, wow, I think there's probably a few moderators with a few hundred burners here. It looks a little suspicious. It looks a little weird, a little strange, and maybe I'm wrong on that. It's bizarre. And there's a way of so now that you've cooked this person and their reporting for like 2-3 weeks before the story breaks, now that the story actually breaks and they were completely right on it, you just steal the news for yourself and credit yourself. But then when someone has the same information as you do, call them a plagiarizer, call them a ripoff artist, call them a liar. Attack their credibility. Go after them publicly. Why? Because I said that Sam Levitt went to the virtual reality room? Can you name me one player who isn't being shown the virtual reality room during LSU's recruiting? I mean, specifically quarterbacks? Oh, God. I don't understand where this hatred of what we do has come from. this desire to illegitimize us at all costs, this almost obsession to silence us, to shut us down. We have had our Twitter account that was just barely about to hit 10,000 followers, and it was just like flying. I wasn't able to post as much as I usually did because we've had the second baby, and things are a little bit more busier than normal. But anything I did post, it did pretty well, and it was great. It felt, I had worked my ass off to get that account to where it should be. And it had a lot more room to grow and a lot of things that could do better, but it was going in that direction. And to have somebody shut that down because they didn't like whatever it was, I think that's insane. I wouldn't dream of doing that to anybody else. I don't know why this person or these people, whoever they were, because I don't know exactly. I've heard a lot of crazy rumors and had a lot of things sent to me, even though I have not publicly said who I feel that it is. I have not said that in any way, shape, any place or form of who I suspect it to be. I haven't said that. I've said that privately to a few people who I trust extremely well, who I know will at least stay with them. Maybe one of them will confront the person I said it was, but outside of that, but I'm not sure who it is. I just, it's crazy to me that it happens. Our account gets suspended after we had never broken a single rule on Twitter, never had a suspension. And then we get some type of reporting and it just says that we broke X's rules. It doesn't even specify what. And won't even let me do anything except for the appeal. And then I can't even look at any part of the process or anything else. It doesn't give me any more information. Can't even get close to the damn thing. Still waiting on the email for hopefully the appeal that we get the account back, which I just don't think is ever going to come. So we started this second account at LSU Odyssey now on Twitter, at LSU Odyssey. Follow us there. And the second it hits over 100, getting up to 200 followers, it's starting to gain some traction. Someone reports our account again, trying to say that I am not me. That is what they literally said. And so I'm literally had the Twitter verified badge thing. Like, you guys had my freaking driver's license on file. How could you, how would you not know who I was? That or that I'm not a human being. It was very bizarre. And accounts were locked, all the sorts of stuff. We had to get those unlocked, and luckily it seems like we've been able to get back into it, but our visibility has been minimized, and it says that some of our features have been locked, and some of the basically our page has basically had its dick cut off, and within just like 2 days of being alive. It's crazy. And that's when it's not a coincidence. This isn't something that I'm doing. This is something that someone is making sure that we will not be on Twitter. They're trying to make damn sure that we cannot beat them to any more stories, that maybe we can't embarrass them with some type of story we're working on. There's a story we are working on that's pretty intense. I've been working on this story for over 6-7 months, and I've told a few people I'm really tight with about this story. And the story that I keep working on, maybe I don't work on it for a month because I'm kind of waiting for events to occur as I, finish this thing. And it's about LSU and certain goings on at LSU that don't necessarily completely relate to football, but also directly do in a bunch of ways. So it's a very strange story, but I think I cannot wait for this thing to come out. I cannot wait for this thing to come out. I will take a lot of heat for it, but I can't wait for this thing to come out. I think this story has riled some people up to getting my Twitter and my social media canceled, that they're trying to do it. This story is about a certain group of people who just really will do anything to kind of shut people down and silence people. But I can also see it being people who view me as a type of competition or a nuisance or this is my territory, we're going to take you out. You're trying to set this shit up. You're actually, oh my God, you're actually getting to this place. You're actually getting to this status. You're actually getting this many subscribers, this many people following you now. We got to stop that. Boom. Like, I don't think how sick is that? We worked our ass off. The posts that we had on there. We had so many posts on there of mentions where, Jordy Collada would mention us on his show, mention our reporting, and kind of like our reporting would be like the basis of his show or something like that. Or, Hester and T-Bob, they would always rep our stuff. Always rep our stuff on OTB. Like 20 something different times, a ton of times. Like, they were incredible. I'd be driving to work listening to them, and they would be like, from Lon Philip Sullivan, LSU Odyssey. I'd be like, oh my God. And so we posted a lot of that stuff and a lot of, thank yous to them and a lot of stuff like that. But a lot of people legitimizing our work and giving us compliments, giving us public praise is something that I think someone is trying to erase as well, as much as they're trying to deny us being able to do anything more. I think they're trying to deny a record of what we've already done. I think that's what's going on. I think they know that what we've already done is more than enough of a strong track record for the future of this thing to be really strong for years to come. And I think they know that, and they want to try and destroy that at all costs. And we're not going to let that happen. That is LSU Football Report's Never Too Early Post-Portal Top 25. Interesting. I would love to see an LSU Ohio State title game rematch. That would be brilliant. But I guess I want to say a direct message to the person who is likely reporting our accounts. We are going to find you, and we are going to really get some serious revenge. If you think you know what we're about when it comes to vengeance, you have no idea. And so if you keep this shit up, we will find our way. We haven't called on many favors from people that we know and people that could help us here. But if we need to, we can call on those favors. I'm talking about people who can really help us with a lot of different things. A lot of different, maybe doing the same thing that's happening to me. Maybe we could do that to somebody else. Perhaps the person who's doing this to us. Maybe if one person can do that, another person could do that. But that's just such a ridiculous scenario. Let's cancel this person because they're doing that's so stupid. And even though it's happening to me and someone is obviously trying to shut me down and shut me up, for good and trying to literally destroy my work destroy the legitimacy our work has been, given through hard-earned, hard grafting, hard grinding, near decade work. That person is a miserable fuck, a snake, and they can't stop us. They won't be able to stop us. And in fact, LSUODYSSEY.com only seems to get bigger and bigger and bigger every month. Whether we get new subscribers or not, whether we get a ton of new subscribers, there always seems to be growth all over the place. And the site doesn't look that good. And there's certain things that we could do a lot better at. And we still have this type of track record. And we can still be on a very strong trajectory. So whoever's doing this, just fuck off. Just worry about yourself and do your own thing, because it's not going to end well for you if you keep doing this. Because we will find you. 100%. Because we have people right now who are actually actively trying to hunt your ass down. People I actually can trust. Not just a bunch of fakes and trolls and bullshit, but people I actually trust. So fuck around and find out, I guess. Or you could just leave us and our accounts alone and stop your bullshit reports and do battle in the marketplace where it should be done. Have someone like myself or like a James or a LSU football report on your show. Give one of these type of guys a chance. Give a Carter the Power. Give a guy like that a chance. Don't be such a gatekeeper. And part of the gatekeeping is we're going to cancel your shit. Oh my God, you got this close to doing this or doing that, or this certain person is following you. We can't have that. We got to shut this shit down. And I think that was also part of it. A certain heavyweight power player in the recruiting service, online, high school, college football recruiting website world, the heaviest hitter, followed us on that Twitter account. And that was a follow that I was like, oh my God, that's so cool. This guy followed us. And I think the fact that guy followed us really pissed somebody off. And I think because of that, it was that same day a certain someone also publicly went at us with some really bullshit claims that were absolutely hilarious. Almost as credible as his anger that I used an emoji, because if you use an emoji that this man uses, then that means you must be insulting him and like spitting on his grave or something. Like the worst thing you could possibly do is use this man's emoji. Like, what? Like, what type of cult have I entered? Anyway, it sucks to see the numbers low just because of the visibility. There's going to be a lot of people saying, where's your show? People have been hitting me up all week. Where the hell's your Twitter? Where's that? Where the hell is this? How come you didn't cover this? And I'm like, dude, I just posted this and this on the site. Oh, yeah, you did. How come I didn't see this? Oh, yeah. It's because you got your Twitter taken. Wow.